Good evening YouTube. In this video we will be replacing batteries in Philips Sonicare CleanCare Plus. My toothbrush is a little over 1 year old and battery does not hold very well anymore. Otherwise toothbrush works and I'm a cheap bastard, so I'm replacing just the battery and not buying new toothbrush, so I can spend more money on drugs and hose. Please do not take this last part seriously. I'm a honest man. The parts and tools we need are 2 AAA rechargeable batteries, big pliers, tongue and groove joint type, 2 flathead screwdrivers, sharp blade cutter, I used one bigger and one smaller, cutters, solder and soldering iron, soldering paste, some old wire and painter's tape. Paper towels were also used during the process. Disclaimer: before we start, I would like to mention that the tip on my soldering iron has seen better days, but hey, I used what I had at the time. So let's start with disassembly. Wrap paper towels around the base of the toothbrush and gently squeeze with pliers until you see a small gap. Towels or some other cloth will prevent damaging the enclosure as plastic is quite fragile. Gently pry out the bottom plug with the screwdriver on the middle hole. With plug removed, we see 2 pins, which are holding all assembly locked together. Here I use 2 flat screwdrivers to disengage both pins at the same time. When you see it in person, it is obvious, but on the picture it is hard to show this detail. While you put tension on the pins with screwdrivers, push the electric assembly out by applying force on the top of the toothbrush at the same time. The simplest way is to push it against the table while keeping pins disengaged. No much force is needed for this, so please make sure that pins are disengaged. From the internal part, now remove plastic part with charging coil, which also have 2 plastic pins. While doing this, the wires from charging coil broken off the circuit board in my case, as I did not desolder them. But do not worry, we are soldering them back later with my bad soldering iron. Now, cut the wires from the old battery pack and do not short them with cutters like I did. Thin the wire so we can connect 2 battery terminals together. Solder the wire to the battery with connecting 1 negative and 1 positive terminal. Cut the excess wire off. I used painter's tape to keep batteries in proper position for soldering. Do not put too much heat into batteries while soldering, as this can damage the batteries. It fits like a glove, but we will see later that it does not. Prepare the battery wires from the circuit board with peeling off excess heat shrink from the pads. Use some soldering paste if needed and solder the wires on the battery. Here also remember to not put too much heat into batteries. As mentioned, battery did not fit exactly, probably because of my soldering wonder at the end of the battery. However, I broke off the springy looking thing at the bottom of battery compartment and melt off the plastic on the middle to make more space for the battery with soldering iron. With this modification, there was enough space for the new battery pack. Put the plastic part with charging coil over the battery. The pins should click into place and hold the battery firmly. Solder wires from the charging coil to the circuit board. Here I made some very ugly looking solder joints, but hey, it works. Try if it charges successfully. If it charges, you did everything right. Final assembly is done with pushing the internal part into enclosure. Pins at the bottom should click and hold the toothbrush together. Pop the bottom plug in and you are done. Now you can brush your teeth again and be happy. Thanks for watching.